Alright, what is going on? What's happening? How's everyone doing today? My name is Chuck. Welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to be jumping into some top meta loadouts you guys can use here in Season 5. It did just go live, so we have some classes and stuff to jump into that you guys are going to be able to shred with here in Season 5. But before any farther, if you guys haven't already, make sure you guys drop a like in the next 5 seconds for some good luck and hit that subscribe button with all notifications turned on, because there's a lot of you guys out there right now that are watching the videos that are not yet subscribed. For our first gun here, we're going to be jumping into the C58, as I do believe this is a top tier assault rifle you guys can use. Genuinely, I really like this gun, and I would definitely say it's my top AR, my favorite AR to use right now, even over something like the Krig. So let's actually get into this here. First thing in the muzzle category, we're going to add on the agency suppressor, sound suppression, vertical recoil control, bullet velocity, and effective damage range. Overall, absolutely amazing attachment you guys should be running on your Cold War ARs. There's no real reason you should run anything else like the regular suppressor. That just doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense. So if I was you guys, run the agency suppressor on it here and call it a day. For the barrel section, what we're going to be running here is we're going to run that 18.5 task force barrel for that increased bullet velocity, horizontal recoil control, effective damage range, and vertical recoil control. This is going to slow down your gun here just a little bit, but don't worry about that. It's not going to be too detrimental or anything. I think the task force is definitely right now the best barrel you guys can use on this gun. And so if I was you guys, I mean, I would just pretty much only run this one. I'm going to try out some other variations and stuff so I can maybe provide you guys a different updated setup with it at a later date. But overall, I think the task force right now is going to be the best one. In the underbarrel section, what we're going to be running here is we're going to go down and put on that field agent grip for that horizontal and vertical recoil control. You want to be able to control this as much as possible. I know the C58 can have some interesting recoil, so we want to make sure we mitigate that as much as humanly possible. That's why we have that task force barrel on there, and that's why we're also going to be running this. Both of these attachments help out with our recoil, which is definitely something super solid. It's going to help make this gun much more of a laser beam. Ultimately, if it's more of a laser beam, you guys are going to hit more of your shots. In the ammunition side of things, you guys can go with a few different things in here. What I've been running recently is the 45 round drum magazine, and just purely because I don't want anything else to kind of slow down my ADS time, as sometimes this gun can feel a little bit slow already. But you guys, if you really want to, you can run the Stenag 55 round drum magazine, and that's going to be entirely okay as well. This thing reloads incredibly fast for like a base magazine, so don't ever waste your attachment slot on the Salvo 50 round fast mag. That is not worth it in any way, shape, or form. So if I was you guys, I'd run either the regular 45 round drum or the Stenag 55 round drum and pretty much call it a day. But I've been using the 45, and I do believe this really helps make this gun a lot more competitive and just more agile, and I really like that. And then to finish off this build here, we're going to put on the Axle Arms 3 times. Overall, a banger attachment. I have seen some people try to run the Royal Cross 4 times on this and something like the Krig, but to be honest with you guys, I just always stick with the Axle Arms. I feel like the 4 times zooms in a little bit too much. It's just not really my cup of tea, and I think Axle Arms has never ever done me wrong. Ever since that update where they actually made it so that it doesn't have weird visual recoil, I've been straight using the Axle Arms on all the Cold War ARs, and definitely this is the way to go for this one. Overall, absolutely love the C58. You guys should definitely be giving this a shot here in Season 5. It is going to be a dominant AR for sure. Hope you enjoyed this setup. Now let's actually jump in here to a Bullfrog setup. Overall, the Bullfrog is a top tier viable SMG that you guys should be running on a large majority of your loadouts. We'll cover some other SMGs and ARs here in just a second, but for this one, let's get into the muzzle category. We're gonna go ahead and throw on the GRU suppressor on this thing, and even though this is an SMG and I'd much rather prefer to use a sound suppressor because this is a suppressor that is, you know, dedicated to close range combat, it just doesn't make the gun nearly as effective as I'd like it to be. So in order to kind of compensate for that TTK thing they slowed down in the Season 4 Reloaded update, and considering they didn't change really the TTK of this gun or really that many guns in general, to be honest, you're just going to want to run the GRU suppressor, and this is 100% going to be the best attachment. Now on the barrel side of things, we're going to go through on that 7.4 task force, effective damage range, bullet velocity, and of course that strafe speed. Love this attachment on the Bullfrog. I don't think there's another attachment out there in the barrel section that is going to be better for this gun, so you guys should definitely be running the 7.4 task force. Now in the laser section, we're going to go ahead and throw on the Tiger Team Spotlight for the increased movement speed and aim walking movement speed. I do think that this is the best attachment here in the laser category. I really love the, you know, the movement speed bonus I happen to get with this thing. It feels so much better than using something like, let's say, the Bruiser Grip or anything else like that. And even if it is visible to enemies, that's entirely okay, because by the time they see you, I mean, you're going to be so up close in their face anyways. You're just trying to strafe around. It doesn't even matter if they see your flashlight. It's not going to help them out in any way, shape, or form. So just run the Tiger Team and call it a day. Now we're in the rear grip section here, and what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to throw on the Serpent Wrap, and this is going to increase our ADS time. I really like being able to ADS super fast with my SMGs. Ultimately, the faster I ADS, the more, like, the quicker I am able to get off some shots. And you guys know, the quicker you can get off shots in close range means more than likely you're going to survive a gunfight if you can obviously ADS quick and then be able to hit your shots. That's kind of the other caveat here. But, the quicker you can ADS is always better. So we're going to go and throw on the Serpent Wrap. And then to finish off in the stock category here, we're going to go and throw on the KGB Skeletal Stock for that ADS firing move speed, aim walking movement speed, and sprint to fire time. I mean, listen here, folks. I love the Bullfrog. Definitely probably my favorite SMG to use right now, short of the MAC-10, which we'll cover here in just a sec. I love the Bullfrog. It's just so good. Now let's actually jump into a gun that doesn't get enough love, but pretty much has one of the fastest TTKs in all of Warzone. That's going to be the AS Val. So this gun is incredible, to say the least, and I don't see enough people using it, just probably because it doesn't have that large of a magazine, but it has the fastest TTK pretty much in the whole game, so you should definitely be using this as like a secondary, or you could even use it as a primary if you really want to, but that's not something I necessarily recommend. So for the barrel section here, even though it's a secondary, we're going to go and throw on the largest barrel. This is going to give us that increase in damage range and bullet velocity. Of course, this thing has an integrated silencer into it, so there's no other muzzle attachment for this thing. You guys are just going to run the VLK 200mm OSA barrel. This is, my best choice. Now on the underbarrel side of things, you guys can run a couple of different things here. I've seen people kind of get away with running the Merc foregrip if you want to have increased, hip fire accuracy and everything. Personally, what I've also done is I've run the Commando foregrip quite a bit. You just kind of have to decide for yourself if you feel like the Merc is going to be too slow for you, or, if you want to have a little bit more sped up, ADS time by having the Commando on there instead. Personally, I'm going to go with the Commando because I don't really hip fire a lot of my guns, and I'm going to say that I want to be able to ADS, quicker. So it's just kind of one of those things you have to try out for yourself. But for me personally, the Commando foregrip is going to be the way to go. Now on the ammunition side of things, this is a category we can't ever skip out on because, this thing has 20 rounds in the base magazine. So we're going to bump it up to 30 rounds here, which is the maximum on this thing. Unfortunately, if this thing probably went any higher, it'd most likely be like really overpowered. If it had like a 40, 45, that could definitely have like a large majority of the Warzone player base running it at that point. But because of 30, that's, like I said, the only drawback to this weapon. So just go to throw on the 30 round magazine here, and you just really can't do anything else. Now the rear grip section, what we're going to do is we're going to go and throw on the stippled grip tape for that increased ADS speed and sprint to fire speed. I really like stippled on any of the Modern Warfare guns. You can't genuinely go wrong with the stippled on literally any of them. It's just kind of one of those things that is always good no matter which gun you put it on. So we're gonna go and throw it on here, as this is going to be a great attachment to help us just feel more agile and of course be able to ADS quicker. And lastly, I'm actually going to go into the perk category and I'm going to throw on Sleight of Hand. The reason I'm throwing on Sleight of Hand instead of like a stock or like a laser or anything else like that is because this gun doesn't have like the a slow reload by any means, but if you're playing very close quarter situations, when you only have 30 rounds in a magazine and that is your secondary gun, in order to be able to take out more than one person at a time, you're going to have to reload, obviously. So we want to be able to make sure we can reload as quick as possible, and that's why we're going to be using Sleight of Hand to kind of get away from any of those sticky situations where you're going to be caught off guard and maybe potentially have to switch to your primary. So we're just going to eliminate any and all of that by putting on Sleight of Hand here, and this is going to be an amazing AS Val build. I love using this gun. I dropped like 23, 25 kills here on Rebirth with it. I love this thing. You guys should definitely give it a shot. Like I said, we're gonna be talking about the MAC-10 here, as this is definitely probably the other meta SMG as opposed to like the Bullfrog. People can classify the Modern Warfare MP5 in meta, but I definitely say that the MAC-10 is definitely superior due to the movement speed capabilities. That's why a lot of the people use the Cold War SMGs instead of some of the Modern Warfare ones, because the movement speed is just so polar opposite and so much better on the Cold War stuff. So for the muzzle category, we're throwing on that agency suppressor here, and this is gonna be the best one. Like I said, for the Bullfrog, we definitely have to keep this on here as the agency or the GRU instead of the sound suppressor. You guys can definitely try it out with the sound if you really want to, but my personal take is going to be the agency. This is what I've been always running as my secondary, and you guys should definitely stick with this. In that barrel section, we're going to go and throw on the 5.9 Task Force barrel for that effective damage range, bullet velocity, and strafe speed. I definitely think that the Task Force barrel is leaps and bounds the best barrel you guys can possibly run on the MAC-10. There's realistically no cons with this thing because it doesn't slow down your movement speed at all. It just has vertical and horizontal recoil control, but we don't even need to run a foregrip on this thing because it doesn't really get any recoil to begin with. So there's no reason you guys should really run anything else. This thing is just pretty much like a all pros and no cons type of thing, because If the recoil isn't really there, then all you got is pros left. So just run the task force. Now in the laser section, we're once again going to be throwing on the Tiger Team Spotlight. Absolutely love this attachment here on the Bullfrog and of course on the MAC-10. Increased movement speed, aim walking movement speed. Just going to help make you more agile in close quarter situations. The more often you're able to move around, the faster you're able to move around, the less likely an enemy is going to be able to hit their shots. Not very many people in Warzone have that great of aim. So if you can throw their aim off even more by using a Tiger Team Spotlight, you're going to be set. So just put this on here. In the ammunition side of things, what we're going to do is we're going to throw on the Stenag 53 round drum magazine. I really like the Stenag 53 round drum. I've seen people try to run the 53 round fast mag. Don't really see the benefit in that, to be honest. It just chalks your ADS speed too much. And I mean, this thing reloads fast enough as is anyways. That's kind of like the repeating effect on a lot of these Cold War guns, is that they reload pretty quick even without like a fast mag attachment. So just go in and throw on the Stenag 53 round drum, call it a day. You don't need anything else. Genuinely, you don't. And then for stock category here, you really can't go wrong with any of these bottom three options. I've ran the no stock attachment a few times. Really like the no stock. I've ran the SAS combat stock a few times. I think that's absolutely amazing as well. And my most consistent thing I run is the Raider stock on this thing. So I guess if I'm going to recommend you guys something, it's going to be the Raider stock. I personally like this thing because I like that increased sprint to fire time, as well as aim walking movement speed, ADS firing move speed. It just makes me feel more lethal at close range. So this is going to be my most consistent thing to recommend, you know, that I use the most often. Even though I do happen to switch it up, I always end up going back to this. So this is going to be my recommendation here. But you guys can definitely use the combat or the no stock, and you really can't go wrong with this specific build. Overall, MAC-10, definitely my top favorite SMG to use right now in Season 5. You guys should definitely give this a shot. Now let's actually jump into one of my preferred guns to use right now, and that's going to be the FARA 83 Assault Rifle. I really like the FARA, even though it tends to have some interesting recoil. We're going to kind of mitigate that while keeping a lot of the mobility in this gun. And I made a video on this thing recently, so this is going to be a pretty similar setup to that. So for the muzzle attachment, we're going to throw on that Groove suppressor. Naturally speaking, we're always going to throw this thing on here just because it's, you know, it's a Cold War AR. There's no real reason for you to ever run the regular suppressor. It's not like you're trying to make this thing a hybrid SMG. Nobody really does that anymore because you're just going to get outgunned by pretty much everything else at close range. So we're going to throw on the Groove suppressor here. Next thing in the barrel section, normally speaking, I would say to run the 18.7 Spetsnaz RPK barrel, but what I've been doing recently here to kind of make sure that I don't lose out on so much mobility is using the 19.5 Liberator, and this is going to increase that bullet velocity and help with vertical recoil control, but it's not necessarily going to basically chalk the rest of your movement speed, which is what the Spetsnaz RPK barrel does. So if I was you guys, definitely give the Liberator barrel a shot. I've been seeing a lot of more streamers and stuff using it like this, and I tried it out and I thought it was phenomenal. So you guys should definitely give this a shot as well. Now in the underbarrel section, what we're going to do is we're going to throw in the Spetsnaz Speed Grip, not the Spetsnaz Grip, though you can definitely run this. This would be my other attachment of choice. Right now, we're on the Spetsnaz Speed Grip for that increased sprinting move speed and horizontal recoil control. This negatively impacts your movement speed just here ever so slightly. It's not really noticeable, but to be honest, what I'm trying to really stray away from is negatively impacting my ADS firing move speed, and I don't necessarily want to be able to, you know, slow myself down even more, as this gun can feel a little bit slow to begin with. So we're going to get that horizontal recoil control from this, the vertical from the barrel. We should be good. But if you feel like you need more, go with the regular Spetsnaz grip and you guys should be good. In the ammunition side of things, we're not going to mess around with this thing here. We're going to go with the Spetsnaz 60 round magazine, increase ammo capacity. I mean, that's basically what it is. It's not going to reload too slow. Don't ever mess around with the VDV 60 round fast mag. I tried it out. Definitely not a fan with it. Definitely would not recommend. Just go with regular 60 round. If you guys this thing has such a high fire rate, you're going to be blowing through ammo like no tomorrow. So running the 45 is just not going to be worth it either. Just go with the 60. And that's that. And then to finish off this build here, what we're going to do is we're going to throw in that Axle Arms 3 times. This is going to be my, you know, optic of choice, like I said, for the last Cold War AR build. I absolutely love the Axle Arms 3 times. I think it is a great optic, and you guys should always be running this. I mean, like I said, you could try the Royal Cross 4 times, but it's not something I ever recommend. It's just, you know, not really for me at all. Overall, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I haven't covered the new AR and the new SMG yet because we'll be making dedicated videos about that, and I don't want to just throw those in a top 5 without really getting some hands-on time to use them. So be on the lookout for that. But if you guys enjoyed the video, give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and just remember, don't be Randy, and I'm out. Peace.